Yes. So hi everyone. Thanks for joining in. Hope you are doing great and most importantly, staying safe. Especially if you are based out of this part of the world. Hope you can hear me well, right? Shik?
Yeah, we can hear you, Prabha.
Okay, great. Yeah. So if you are based out of this part of the world, you need to be safe from COVID-19, then wildfires, hurricanes, all other stuff, and hopefully things will get better soon. I've been with WSO2 for last 13 years and mostly worked on building WSO2 identity server. WSO2's vision in IAM is to build an API-driven, developer-focused IAM product to address CIAM use cases. We believe in moving forward every service you develop, every API you design, every device you use, every person you interact with will have a managed identity. In building a CIAM solution, you need to integrate with all these components, or in other words, you can't operate in silos. That we see as a need for a developer-focused IAM product to build a CIAM solution. Identity Server is an open source IAM product released under Apache 2 license, just like any other WSO2 product. At the moment, we have 200 plus paid production customers and 500 plus educational institutes using Identity Server globally. That's in addition to 1,000 plus completely open source deployments with no WSO2 subscriptions. I would say 90% of Identity Server deployments are customer facing, addressing CIAM use cases across multiple verticals, including financial, government, healthcare, education, automobile, retail, and many more. We have a very active Slack community. So if you have any questions related to the product, we invite you to join our Slack channel. The entire Identity Server team is on it to help you. With that little background with respect to the product, I believe we'll qualify as a well-established vendor in the IAM domain to talk about CIAM. The major goal of CIAM is to drive the revenue growth by leveraging identity data to acquire and retain customers. It will build an identity-centric ecosystem to nurture an anonymous website visitor into a well-known loyal customer. We have come across multiple phases in the past, and today at the age of customer, identity has become the glue for all contextual marketing. In doing that, in our journey towards CIAM, we face multiple challenges. In a typical workflow, many follow to onboard a customer. We start with an anonymous website visitor, then nurture this anonymous website visitor to a lead and to a qualified lead, and finally to a customer. There can be multiple variations of this flow, and we could be using multiple channels to onboard customers. Then when we have multiple channels, multiple points of connections and data sources, that lead us into another problem. Data related to the anonymous users may reside under marketing data sources. Data with respect to leads and sales might be under CRM data sources, and the identity data of customers would be under the IAM system. So with this approach, we'll end up having siloed data sources, and those siloed data sources may not know how to talk to each other. 52% of marketing leaders responsible for data and analytics believe data integration and data management are the most time-consuming activities. And also, over 1/3 of marketers say their inability to integrate data is the biggest obstruction to the success of the analytics team. This is a real challenge which we need to find a solution to. Then protecting consumer data at large scale. Unlike in workforce IAM, in a typical CIAM system, we work with millions of users. So we need to worry about how we securely store the PII data of these users and preserve privacy. This is another challenging area we need to worry about. When we build a CIAM solution to address these challenges, These are the co-functional requirements we need to worry about. All of them are very much self-explanatory, so I won't go into the details. Then again, what matters most here is how you build these core CIAM features while addressing some of the key non-functional requirements, which we call as 5 pillars of CIAM. What you, your customers and your partners experience is the tip of the iceberg. So that's the experience your CIAM solution is building. Underneath, to build the right level of user experience, you need to worry about these 5 pillars. Scalability is one of the key requirements in any CIAM system. Unlike in workforce IAM, in CIAM, the difference between the average load and the peak load is considerable. So in a traditional way, if you provision your hardware to address the peak load, you will end up wasting a lot of your resources. In one of the financial institutes we worked with, they were building a SAM solution for over 1.5 million customers. On an average day, they expect 350,000 logins, having daily peak times around 9 to 10, 12 to 1, and 3 to 4 p.m. So if we assume 300,000 users will log into the system during this 3 hours peak time, the expected load per minute would be around 1,700 users. But in 2 days every month, they expect 5,000 logins a second. So that is 300,000 users per minute. Those 2 days are in fact the payday and the day after that. So the average load is 1,700 logins per minute, while the peak load is 300,000 logins per minute. That's a huge difference between the average load and the peak. So just having the ability to address scalability needs is not just enough. Your CIAM system should know how to auto scale up and down based on the demand. Then the security. If you handle any customer data, the security should be one of the topmost priorities. You would need to worry about how your CIAM system stores and processes PII data. And also, from the customer's point of view, they do expect some control around how you collect, store, manage, and share their personal data. Any misuse of customer data, whether deliberate or not, can significantly damage the brand equity. Yahoo, for example, was in the middle of a series of data breaches a few years back that exposed the PII data of more than 1 billion users. That did cost the company 350 million USD. They had to lower the sales price of its email and the other digital services, which they sold to Verizon from 4.83 billion to 4.48 billion to account for the potential backslash from the data breaches. Usability is another key aspect. There are 3 types of users who need access to your CIAM system: your customers, some of your employees, and the partners. The customers demand low friction access both during the login flow and during the registration flow. Then some of your employees, like the help desk administrators or the CXOs. CXOs especially would expect your CIAM system to build dashboards to give a better business oversight. Then comes the extensibility. So both the extensibility and the developer focus go hand in hand. Organizations need to continuously improve the level of consumer engagement and adapt to the changes in technology, business models, competitions, regulations, and customer experiences or customer preferences. To address that, you need an agile, event-driven CIAM platform that can flex to meet both new business opportunities and new challenges. So your CIAM system should be able to address common CIAM needs out of the box, while its architecture should permit extending the platform to address unique business requirements. That's why we see CIAM is a solution you build, not just a single product you buy. Then again, there's a misconception that some do sell CIAM as a product. If you are familiar with ESB or the enterprise service bus, this is quite similar to how some sold ESB as SOA or service-oriented architecture probably a decade back when SOA and ESB were quite popular. SOA is in fact a pattern, and ESB along with other integration tools and proper architectural designs help you build a service-oriented architecture. ESB itself, you cannot call it SOA. The same analogy applies to CIAM. And identity provider itself alone does not bring in CIAM. It's an integrated system that you need to build with other business systems like CRM systems, marketing platforms, e-commerce platforms, fraud detection systems, risk engines, then content management systems, data management platforms, and so on. To cater these requirements, your CIAM solution has to be extensible, API-driven, and developer-friendly. That will help you reduce the cost as well as the time to market. Then the APIs and integration. 60% of digital transformation projects start with integration. As I mentioned before, CIAM is not just a product, it's a solution we build. When we build the CIAM solution, we need to integrate with multiple components. These components can be an identity provider, a CRM system, marketing platform, e-commerce platform, a CMS, and so on. So we need to worry about how we build an integrated CIAM solution. The key enabler for integration is the APIs. All the components in your CIAM infrastructure should expose their respective functionalities via APIs. And they can be in-house or outside of your local infrastructure. For example, when someone visits your website and downloads a brochure, the website talks to an API exposed by the identity provider to do a light registration. Then the identity provider talks to HubSpot via an API to create a new lead. And while onboarding a customer, the identity provider talks to an identity verification service via an API. And upon successful verification, the identity provider may call HubSpot to upgrade the lead status to customer, and may also call Salesforce via API to create a customer record. Then also during both login and registration flows, the identity provider may push stats to Mixpanel via an API. So you would know how long your customers spend on login and registration pages. So you can do A/B testing to try out different page designs simultaneously and pick the most optimal one. These are just a few use cases, but in practice, the number of integrations can be limitless. When you expose an API and also when you consume APIs, you need to worry about security. We need to worry about securing APIs at the edge and also securing communications among the components in your CIAM system. Here is the platform view of CIAM. In one of its reports, McKinsey groups platforms into three broad categories in general. Let's see how this platform view is applicable to CIAM with respect to what we discussed so far. For example, in CIAM, the customer journey platforms cover the customer experiences of signing up, logging in, associating social accounts, account recovery, consent management, and so on. The business capability platforms worry about customer relationship management, customer data management, preference management, business analytics, and so on. Then the core IT platforms provide the shared technology on which the customer journeys and business capabilities run. For example, the cloud platforms, the data analytics environments, and other integration solutions. Over the time, we have spoken to hundreds of customers and probably thousands of leads. From all those conversations, what we have learned is different customers are at different levels of maturity in building a CIAM solution. Some even don't know they are doing CIAM. Most businesses do start with level 0 or at non-existent maturity level. At this level, you don't worry about tracking any customer interactions. Probably you don't have an online portal, and probably you don't do any sales online. In case you have an online portal, you may use it only to share your product and contact information, and would not expect any dynamic customer interactions. Probably you may use systems like Viber, WhatsApp, or a phone line to accept orders, but still you don't worry about tracking who places which order. Many restaurants, taxi services, retail stores, and family businesses follow this model at the start. When you walk into a restaurant, no one knows about you. Even if it's the same restaurant, you are going back again and again. Each time you need to pick where you want to be seated and what you want for the meal. Same applies for taxi services other than Uber and Lyft. Whenever you order taxi, you need to share the address you need to go, and you can't just say drop me home or drop me to the office. At level 1 or the managed identity phase, you only worry about onboarding your customers to the system and digitally manage their identities. Even under level 1, the emphasis different companies put on how they want to manage their customer identities varies. One may only worry about onboarding customers via an online portal and then let them authenticate the system via username and password. Another company would worry about integrating with social IDPs for registration, enabling strong authentication options with adaptive authentication, integrate with risk engines, do identity analytics, and so on. What you do in this phase is distributed across a broader spectrum. But still, you only worry about managing identities. No CRM systems in place, no customer preference management systems in place. I would say most of the companies who are working towards a digital strategy are in this phase, or at least start with this phase. Then again, the question is how long you want to be in this phase. We've worked with many customers who've been in this phase for years, and some even for more than a decade. What we have seen is the more you are in this phase, you start building disconnected identity silos. You may use a federation between applications and an identity provider, but still will end up having multiple federation silos, probably by different departments. Each department may have its own identity store and identity provider, which will result in duplication of identity information across the company. Level 2 is one step forward from the managed identity phase. Here you have an identity management system in place, and you also worry about having a CRM system, a marketing platform, an e-commerce platform, a CMS, a data management platform, and many more to know about your customers better. One deficiency we see in the companies in this phase is, even though you collect customer data at different contact points, the data sources are still disconnected and does not help in building a unified profile for a given customer. When you want to generate a report across multiple data sources, that would require high labor-intensive process with human involvement. And even in some cases, you may fail to find a correlation among different data sources. This is, in fact, the phase we see a company would start worrying about a CIAM system. Once you are in this phase, you'll understand the benefits of building a unified view of a customer. And at the same time, you'll start realizing the deficiencies in your current system that prevent you from getting there. Level 3 is the connected phase. This is the phase where you start integrating your IAM system with your CRM system, marketing platform, e-commerce platform, CMS, data management platform, and others. This helps in building a unified view of your customer, so you can see how long it took to nurture an anonymous lead to a loyal customer. Progressive profiling is one of the key elements of this phase. When you onboard a customer, you only request a minimal set of information. But as he or she starts using the system will start learning more. The system can learn more from the user's behavior or else directly ask from the user for inputs. Irrespective of how the system learns about the user, it will feed those data into the IAM system using an API. This helps the IAM system to make much informed decisions with respect to the user's actions, as well as share a unified profile of the user among all the applications. Another advantage you see in integrating IAM with other business platforms is you can track the customers across multiple platforms or across multiple devices. Most of the marketing platforms track users by cookies. So when you use cookies, you can't track users across multiple devices. But having your marketing platform integrated with the IAM system helps you identify user interactions across devices. This is one reason I would say arguably why Google introduced Gmail. You are always logged into your Gmail account or indirectly to your browser. So Google can correlate your search patterns with your identity, and they can do that across all the devices. Then Apple ID probably introduced for the same reason. When you use Apple ID, Apple knows which apps you use from your mobile device as well as outside of your mobile device. To build a CIAM solution in this phase, you would need more than an identity provider. You need to worry about integrating systems, exposing data as APIs, managing those APIs, and many more. This is why we see many customers in this phase work with system integrators to build the CIAM solution if they don't have a strong development team in-house. Finally, the level 4 or the optimized phase. Omnichannel access is a key feature we see in the companies who operate at this level. In an omnichannel environment, the customers interact with the business via multiple channels, but still will get a seamless, continuous user experience. If you are an Amazon customer, you can place an order via its website, mobile app, Alexa, or via Kindle. And when Amazon announced Amazon Books a few years back, their intention was to bring the same digital experience you have on Amazon.com to the physical world. If you visit an Amazon bookstore, you will see the book reviews, ratings, and many other digital-only features there. Then Amazon Go. When you enter into an Amazon Go store, the system seamlessly authenticates you via the Amazon Go mobile app. Then it uses sensors to track items as you put them into the cart or return them to the shelf. And finally, your Amazon accounts get automatically charged with no cashier involved. So this is the next level of omnichannel experience Amazon is building, and identity is key in doing that. Then the CXO dashboards is another key feature we see in this phase of CIAM. The CXO dashboards get updated in near real time with the data with respect to the current status of the business, and also the predictions derived from integrating with machine learning systems. Also in this phase, machine learning and behavior analytics are being used to suggest how you can design better, more effective UX A/B testing. Here is a summary of the maturity model. Now the question is how we get from level 0 to level 4, or from non-existent to optimized. That's where we see the need for a carefully designed integrated supply chain for CIAM. In general, a supply chain is a system of organizations, people, activities, information, and other resources involved in supplying a product or service to a customer from the inception to delivery. In the industrial supply chain, we see 5 main phases. Under sourcing, you find the raw materials, machinery, labor which you need to build your product. In doing that, you will also find out the suppliers that you need to work with. One of the McKinsey reports claims on average an auto manufacturer has around 250 tier 1 suppliers. Then during the manufacturing phase, you build the product, then distribute it, sell it. Finally, the consumers start using the product. We can build a similar analogy in the digital supply chain. If you are building a CIAM solution, then in the discovery phase, you need to figure out what you need to buy and what you need to build. You need not to build everything from scratch. Uber, for example, uses Google Maps for navigation. It's one of the most critical parts of Uber to build a smooth experience for its riders. From 2016 to 2018, for 2 years, they paid 56 million USD to Google for using Google Maps. But then again, it's a peanut when you compare that with their revenue in 2019, which was 14.15 billion USD. So you need to make the right decision, and the discovery phase is critical to find out what's best for you. In terms of CIAM, during the discovery phase, you need to find out what you want for your IAM system, for your CRM system, marketing platform, e-commerce platform, fraud detection system, risk engine, CMS, data management platform, and many others. For each of these systems, you would need to pick a supplier or a vendor. Once again, one of the McKinsey reports claims technology companies have an average of 125 suppliers in their tier 1 group. Then again, you need not to pick everything at once. You can go for a phased approach. In the development phase, you start building your CIAM solution by integrating multiple systems together, which should finally result in the right level of user experience that would help you to drive the revenue growth by leveraging identity data to acquire and retain customers. So that's the whole goal of CIAM. Then during the deployment phase, you need to come up with a model to address some of your non-functional requirements such as scalability, security, and so on. Now the system is up and running and you start onboarding customers. Now you need to start monitoring the customer experience. You need to see how the customers use your product, their pain points, and so on. And then the digital supply chain will continue. You go to the next phase, do the discovery based on the services you need, and then keep going. Finally, the takeaways. The goal of CIAM is to drive the revenue growth by leveraging identity data to acquire and retain customers. Organizations need to continuously improve the level of consumer engagement and adapt to the changes in technology, business models, competition, regulations, and customer preferences. An agile event-driven CIAM platform can flex to meet both new business opportunities and new challenges. A CIAM system should be able to address common CIAM needs out of the box, while its architecture should permit extending the platform to address unique business requirements. As a CIAM solution matures, a properly designed digital supply chain helps to get from non-existent measure level to optimized. WS's vision in IAM is to build an API-driven, developer-focused IAM product to address CIAM use cases. Thank you very much.